hopefully in the next semester. But yes, students are doing it.
All right. So, guys, I feel like every English work organization, yeah, host have a different curriculum and agenda. So, I know a couple of English works organizations that are conducting conferences. If that is happening at your end, then good. If not, then you can always propose the idea. Or please, everybody do a mushtaraka prayer that I also become an English works instructor at some point in my life again.
Definitely, ma'am. We'll definitely pray for that. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for sharing insightful experiences with us. I wish I could ask questions after questions, but due to the shortage of time, I have to bring in our last guest alumna speaker. So thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us today.
Thank you. Have a great day. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Um, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce our third guest alumna speaker, Ms. Rabia Jamil, a proud graduate in English, BS English from National University of Modern Languages, Islamabad, who has distinguished herself through her passion for community engagement and leadership. As the president of the Social Responsibility and Initiative Society, her contributions included organizing social awareness campaigns and managing charity events during her final year at NUML. Post graduation, Ms. Rabia embarked on a diverse professional journey shaped by her dedication to education and literature. She utilized her skills as a blog author at Adi Baat, proofreading and simplifying texts on Iqbaliyat, and as an administrative assistant at Dastan, where she managed voiceovers, edited manuscripts, and created animated content. Her creative expertise extended to freelancing on Fiverr, where she produced educational content, including children's literature and academic writing. Her most notable contributions lie in curriculum design, with roles as a lesson planner, textbook author, and self-published author on Amazon, crafting engaging materials for early childhood education. As an O-levels English instructor and student council in charge, she introduced innovative teaching methods, managed students' initiatives, and taught international ESL learners on platforms like Ingu and Preply, further showcasing her versatility and commitment to education. Ms. Rabia is truly a force to be reckoned with. We are very grateful to Ms. Rabia for joining us today. Ma'am, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction, Abbas, and thank you for inviting me.
Our pleasure. I'll directly go to the questions. I'll definitely affirm this thing. Your entire journey basically is so inspirational. When I was basically going through your introduction earlier, and while I was devising questions, it was literally very inspirational. So I want you to please walk us through how your academic experience at NAMAL shaped you and provide you with an approach to excel in your professional life.
All right. So, first of all, Bismillah Rahman Rahim. I'd like to start by saying that I'm nearly not as accomplished as you all seem to believe, and not as accomplished as the ones, as the alumni that I'm sharing this platform, this virtual platform with today. So basically, now coming to your question is that how NUML and the English department shaped me in my professional career or in my professional life. Because basically, I think English is a kind of degree that is not a technical degree, and a lot of people do not opt for it in that manner to in order to have a set career path, you know, because when you have a law degree, you pass out and you are a lawyer. But with English, you have a lot of options open to yourself. So I think the degree of English gives you something which is a perspective, and it is something. It also gives you a critical thinking. And another thing that I would like to mention is that it builds your communication skills a lot. And I think a combination of these three things, the perspective, the critical thinking, and good communication skills, is something that is definitely going to help you in whichever skill you want to excel, or whichever profession you want to join. So, and secondly, I believe is that the interaction that you have with the faculty members, the esteemed qualified faculty of English department, I think that is a kind of interaction that helps you a lot in very minute ways, because they are in diverse fields. They have excelled in diverse fields. That is something that will provide you with the essentials, I think, to excel in any kind of professional path.
I want you to please talk about your experience as the president of the Social Responsibility and Initiative Society, because you led several social awareness campaigns and charity events. Which project are you most proud of, and what were some of the key challenges you faced in organizing these initiatives?
All right. Okay. So I think in 2021, when I became the president of the of Social Responsibility Initiative Society, this we were just forming these societies. NUML did not have these societies in form and structure in the way that they were built in those times. And we had our patron, Sir Dr. Muntazir Mehdi. He was very invested, and we basically if you asked me about the challenges, so the challenge was basically building it from the scratch, and building it up, building the structure up. So and recruiting, one of the great things about NUML is that we have a very diverse population, and that's our strength. We have people from GB to Sindh, all across. So gathering those people, getting them here, motivating them to come up with unique ideas, because a lot of times we're just stuck in our boxes. So motivating them, dividing it into different kinds of parts, all the different kinds of departments that could make a difference in the practical world. Because I really wanted to do something practical in my final year. So and then you also asked me about something that sticks out in my memory is, I think we held a lot of different events, a lot of different charity events. There was a stationery drive, the charity drives, or the clothes drives, and food drives in Ramzan. These were some practical things. We also held educational seminars on mental health, and some ceremonies. So, but I think one particular thing that would always stick out in my memory is when we went out on Eid days, and on one particular Eid day, and we had my team had packed the essentials for kids, for some kinds of packages, which would things that would interest kids. And we went to the cancer ward of a government hospital, and I do not remember any mother that was there as attendee, because most of them, most of the attendants there were mothers. Because the kids were either too weak or not conscious to be able to see or receive the gifts that we had for them. I do not remember any mother not crying that day. And it wasn't because of the things that we gave them. It was because of the interaction that we had with them. It was because of the acknowledgement that they felt, because they were there with their kids on a special occasion, and their families were at home. Everyone else was at home. So this was one particular event, if you ask me about that.
Hmm. Great. So, post graduation, you ventured into several roles, including a blog author, a creative freelancer, administrative assistant at a self publishing company until you started self-publishing children books yourself. How did you manage to explore such multifaceted fields?
Okay, so this looks good on a resume, but this was actually a post-graduation panic. It's because I really wanted to do a lot of things, and I think a lot of final year students experience that. A lot of graduates experience that because okay, because you're only always set on different things. You know, you come from your school, you graduate school, you go into college, you graduate college, now you go into university. Now maybe you go for higher education, but your trajectory is not as defined once you leave education. So education is a kind of refuge for you. So I wanted to do a lot of things in life. My goal was clear, as I told you earlier. Like if you graduate from an MBBS degree, you become a doctor. And if you graduate from a law degree, you become a lawyer. But graduating from English, you have a lot of open options to yourself. And I'll say that for some other degrees as well, like BBA and other degrees, because they're much more generalized degrees. So I think I wanted to do all those things that I could do. And so that's why I stepped into varying different fields. First of all, and the thing that I joined was the blog, Adibad. And I think that would be the reason for that would be my love for literature. And, when you study English literature, I have a love for literature, but when you study English literature and you know the classics of English and everything of that sort, then you also crave to bring to light the amazing literature that your own people have produced in your own languages. And especially something like Iqbal. You know, Iqbal is not just shairi, it's not just poetry. It is a message, it is something huge. So I wanted to study it for myself and I wanted to digitize it for other people as well. So that was my reasoning to be able to, join the blog as a contributing author. I never owned the blog. I was a contributing author to that. So this was basically one thing. Then after that, I joined the as the administrative assistant on in a self-publishing company, which was Dastan. And what I did was I was managing different things because of my degree in English. I was proofreading, I was managing voiceovers, and I was just experiencing all the different skills. I managed Canva, and from there, it's that I got the knowledge, or I got the the exposure of self-publishing world. And my goal was since the very beginning, I think even before I started my university, my goal was very clear to me, which was education. But my career path was not clear to me, which was that was the reason that I went into so many different things and tried so many different ways to implement myself. So after that, I now this is getting a bit long, but after that, I just entered my self-publishing journey. The Amazon, I made an account on Amazon. I started creating things, educational material, activity books, basic concepts, things that I thought that were very easy for me to do. And I launched my self-publishing career like that.
Um, Such an inspiring journey. So you talked about basically Iqbaliyat and your journey, your career in proofreading. So my question, the next question is about your Iqbaliyat blog, your contribution to that blog, and your focus on proofreading and simplifying texts. So, what value did you acquire while doing that job, like Iqbaliyat? What did it teach you while contributing to that blog, and at the same time proofreading or simplifying text?
Hmm. Okay. So my reason for entering that Iqbaliyat blog was to digitalize and to simplify Iqbaliyat. Just like I was relating a lot to Tayyaba when she was saying that how you have to present and the information to the today's generation. Anything and everything that is digitalized in today's world is accessible to the youth, and whatever is left in the old books is not accessible to the youth, because we do not like to access things in that way, and this is the harsh truth for us. So this was my motivation behind that. This was my reason to do that. Partially the reason was for me to develop an understanding, and completely and utterly, I feel, because my purpose is education. So I believe that we are in a moral and a spiritual crisis overall in our country and overall in the world as well. So Iqbal, I think, was not so relevant to his time period. Now, this may be a very controversial statement, as relevant as he is in this time period that we live in right now, in the political turmoil that we live in, and in the kind of the different kind of moral obligations that we have, or whatever different things that we achieve. We have the Western thought with us. We have the religious thought of our own country, our culture. We have to manage all these things. So that my purpose basically was to digitalize and provide education to people, to youth especially.
Hmm. A relevant question that I want to ask, basically, as you talked about that your main purpose is education. So you have experience in curriculum design. So what do you believe are the most important aspects when developing educational content for early childhood education? And how do you ensure your materials are both engaging and effective?
Okay. So I basically, after I did my self-publishing work, I started working in an edtech company. As the curriculum designer, I worked as a textbook author as well as a lesson planner. So I think the main challenge over there is that curriculum at the end of the day is a piece of paper, and the way you need to kind of uh, put that into reality, because when you're writing on that piece of paper, when you're preparing a textbook, you have to understand inclusivity is the biggest challenge, because there will be students from a lot of different parts of Pakistan who have a very diverse background, and they do not and more than that, the teachers that are going to teach that are not as qualified. So I know that our population, our diversity in Pakistan is our strength, but it also becomes our weakness, especially when it comes to education, because we cannot impart one kind of education. We cannot take the best education system, Finnish education system, and just implement that over here. Why? Because curriculum at the end of the day is a piece of paper, and we have to understand the realities that we have to put in. We have to understand what are the resources, what are the qualifications that those teachers will have, that will be teaching these books, that will be implementing these lesson plans. And we have to understand that what are the resources that will be available to them. So we cannot put on activities like involve technology or a lot of different different kind of expensive materials, because they just simply don't have those resources, and they will simply be disregarding it. So I think that was my biggest challenge, and I struggled with it, and my superiors, my seniors helped me a lot with that perspective development.
My next question is basically related to the previous question, and it's that i- in your role as a textbook author and lesson planner, what is your approach to balance creativity with educational standards? Can you share an example of a particularly innovative idea you incorporated into your lesson or textbooks?
Hmm. Okay, so I think the most innovative ideas were to involve different kinds of learning styles in that. Basically, I was making it for primary grade, the textbooks. So I had a lot. We had a lot of tactilely engaging activities in that. For example, they had I remember we used to call it a brain break. So, so children used to get up and, just for 2 minutes, just do a jumping jack. So that was a kind of a break for the mind, because they've been sitting over there, and a lot of different things, a lot of different activities followed by following every chapter, so that they are assessed, as well as they have some practical thing. And another thing that we followed at Talimabad was the storytelling, because story is a very important aspect in life, and in education especially. So yeah, those were some things.
Um, how was your experience as an O levels English instructor and as an online tutor? For instance, how do you tailor your teaching methods to meet students' diverse learning needs?
Hmm. All right. So I very recently joined a school as a O levels instructor, and the reason was that I felt a kind of gap between my in my resume, in all the panic that I had. So I felt that, because you cannot be up there in the like our politicians up there in the parliament designing laws for things that you have never experienced. So I wanted that classroom experience, actually. So in the classroom, I think the thing that I felt the most, now O levels is taught to, I think, maybe the top 10% of this population. It's a very privileged population. Very few institutions offer it. If we look at it at a large scale, at the scale of our country. So even that, I believe that we do not kind of teach them we don't provide them all the receptive skills that are required to develop the spoken language skills. We like to stick to books, and even though I was the one working on those kind of books, they have the perfect curriculum, but it is not implemented in the way that it is supposed to be. And because I teach language, just as I said in the beginning, uh, we language, the only purpose of language is not to just develop communication. It's not just to have that ability to write and speak. It's also to develop a perspective. And English, because you need a lot of knowledge, you need a lot of resource, basically, to read, and a lot of resource to listen to in order to be able to speak well or to write well. So I felt that that resource was missing for our students, even in esteemed systems like O levels and A levels. We stick to an Oxford book, maybe. So I introduced some oral comprehensions in my class, in my classrooms, which was greatly appreciated by the administration of my school. And I incorporated in different ways, like recently we have this smog issue. So we need to make those students, those 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old students, the problem solvers, and the change makers of future. So I made them watch some videos about the problem of smog and what is causing it, and I made groups out of them, and I said, this is the kind of, and I said that you have to come up with a solution, or I gave them a solution and they had to brainstorm it and speak on it. So this is the kind of education that we only end up following in university. And I think that this is something that we should, at all levels, we should be following in the schools. So this was one thing that I am kind of proud of doing in my career as an English teacher.
Great, great. Um, Ma'am, you've basically demonstrated incredible versatility in both creative and administrative roles, from manuscript editing to graphic or content creation. How do you manage switch between these different types of work? And do you see a common thread running through all of them?
Mhm. Okay, so I did switch a lot. The thing is that there is a common thread on all of them that I can connect. I believe that thread is the education, is the way that we need to develop education, and whether that's through the digital blogging, whether that's through publishing kinds of books that you believe that will be able to contribute in any way, and whether that's depending on how to teach, especially which is my specialty cannot be all the subjects, so my specialty is English. And English is a subject, I believe, which we have a very complex relationship with. We Pakistanis, we have a very complex relationship with it. I think 15, 16 years we study English, फिर भी किसी को अंग्रेजी नहीं आती. So that's the thing. That's probably, and I think as a second language, uh, I think 2 to 3 to 4 years is more than enough to learn a second language, and to become proficient in it is 5 to 6 years maximum. So that's what I've learned in my experience. And if you adopt the correct strategies, we don't learn sciences in the right way, in the experimental way that it needs to be taught. We don't learn English as a second language because English is the second language in this country, but we don't learn any second language in the way that it needs to be learned. So I think this is the common thread in that, all of that, that how we should teach and what should we teach, and how to build up people and human beings who are change makers, who are morally and ethically superior beings. So that is, I think, the common thread and the common goal that I have in all of these.
All right, all right. Ma'am, we have an online question, and the attendee wants to ask, do you think new graduates should write blogs and start self-publishing? How can these two activities help in finding jobs?
All right. Okay. So I think these are two opposing things. Self-publishing and writing blogs is kind of self-empowering thing. It would not be a job, although I believe that definitely you can write all along. If you whatever kind of writing you're interested in, you will find a job. Writing will never get out of scope. There will always be a scope for that, and whatever you're interested in writing, I would encourage you to not just wait for being a graduate. Just start doing that. That is one of the biggest problems that we have. We don't start our professional lives while we are in our still pursuing our education. So self-publishing is also the new thing. Definitely work on that as well. Whatever you believe, everybody has a story to write. We have amazing authors, especially in the English department, in the Urdu department, in languages. You should be able to start adding something to your resume while you're still studying. And self-publishing just simply provides you that opportunity.
Um, all right. There's another question. Um, the participant wants to know, how much is networking important to get your work published? I've seen a lot of talented people who don't get recognition because they have no connection in writing industry. What is your take on it?
Okay, so I don't actually have so much experience in self-publishing, but I do believe that when you're self-publishing, marketing plays a huge role. And if you don't have networks, then I think the social media today is something that you are failing to utilize, because you don't need to have personal connections. You can have virtual connections, and it is difficult to build, but definitely, first of all, the self-publishing companies, if you find a good self-publishing company, they advertise for you, they advertise your work for you. So that is good, but you also have to market yourself. So start building a kind of an online platform for yourself, and start promoting your own self.
Hmm, let me check if I have another online question. Okay, there's basically as of now there's no online person, but I want to know. I'm a bit curious about it because you talked about that English degree provides you with this sort of freedom that you can experiment with different fields or different career prospects. It is good. It uh, sort of creates different options for you, but at the same time, it is difficult as well because with challenging comes ambivalence, uncertainties, and sort of not being aligned with a particular objective. What is your take on it? Is it difficult? What are some of the challenges that you personally faced, if you have, and how much sort of it is pressurizing to be an English graduate?
Absolutely, definitely. Because when you get out, you're not someone. You have to start proving yourself from there. So the thing is that I think you said that there is an ambivalence, but I believe that there's one thing that should be clear in your mind, and that is your objective. That is your goal. If you have a goal, you will definitely, the career path is a much more flexible thing than the world believes it to be. So you can switch your career paths, but you cannot switch your goals. You have to have that objective in mind, what you want to do in life. When you know, if I say it in the words of Iqbal, when you develop your khudi, when you develop a kind of idea that you want to achieve in life, then definitely a thing that I feel a lack for is that network with like-minded people. LinkedIn is there for that. Network with personally with kind of people who are where you want to be or where you think you want to be. So just connect with them, speak with them, and even when you are still pursuing your education, and then just embark on those careers that you will find. You will definitely find a lot of different places to switch to. Some people stay in their comfort zone. You know, I know this thing. I want to stick to it. Don't do that. You can experiment your skills. You can develop new skills. Don't be afraid to develop new skills. And in these times, I think this is our biggest strength. Our generation's biggest strength is that we can develop new skills and we can move to different kinds of ideas. And you, everything will fall into place if your goal is clear in your mind.
Thank you. Um, Ma'am, could you please share a sample of your self-publishing children's content? I think that will make the session a bit engaging, but at the same time also sort of give a perspective to the attendees.
Sure, sure. Okay. All right.
You can
So
share
what
your screen. Ma'am Iram, if you could please allow her to share her screen.
I think I can share the screen.
All
Let me
right.
just.
Yeah, she can share.
Okay. So I was caught off guard. Didn't think you will ask me that. Okay. So um, let me just show you. This is my very starting work when I just started working on it. So this is a basic concepts children's box set. You know those tiny box sets that you see. This one was all made on Canva, where with little to no expertise, and this was like the number book. And then if this loads, you'll be able to see that I have some other samples as well. So because this was kind of thing that I looked at in the bookshops, and I was like, I can make that, I can do that. So this was done in English as well as in Urdu. So this was these are different books bunched up into one to just make a sample. So if you can see that, oh, can you see my whole screen? Yes, you can. Okay. So this was it, and I think let me just show you quickly. This was the bodies. These are different books. The body. These are my first words: clothes, toothbrush, and things like that. And this one was in Urdu. So let me just show you that. So here we have all of these same things in Urdu as well. So this was the back cover of my book. So yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share that. I can't hear you actually. Your mic is muted.
Okay, okay, sorry. Could you please share your future aspirations with us, looking 5 and 10 years ahead? What are your key aspirations? Any initiative or project that you want to work on?
So basically, I think I want more networking. Definitely, I feel the lack for that still in my career. And I feel that I want more perspective on the ground realities. And for that, I look up to organizations like Teach for Pakistan that are doing amazing work, and I hope to join them soon. I look at TCF, which is the Citizens Foundation, and the work that they've done, and all the similar things that are providing the equality and the equity in education to the underprivileged. Because I've now experienced I have this experience, as you have gotten the idea that I like to diversify my experience. So I have the experience of how the privileged class and what kind of things that they get to experience. I would also really want to experience what the communities in the remote or far off areas are experiencing. And okay, and by the way, so in my self-publishing journey, I think personally I would also want to develop some resources because I feel the lack for that. I would want to develop like storybooks in English as well as in Urdu, and develop a kind of not only the language through that, but also the character through that, because I really love to step into writing and authoring now.
Great. Wish you the best of luck. Let me check if I have any online question. If not, I think that's all. Yeah. We don't have any online question. Ms. Rabia, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for sharing insightful, very inspirational experiences with us. Um, and I think that's the end of our last session. Once again, I'm very grateful to all our guest alumni speakers for honoring us with their esteemed presence in today's webinar. And I'm also thankful to all the participants for being patient with us today. And I'm very sure that this session will extend the future academic and professional horizons of the attendees. And I wish you all the best of luck to the participants, to the panelists. And once again, thank you so much for joining us today. Allah Hafiz and good night.
Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.